What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Missing Link C-03 as well as C-04, G1 Bumblebee, and Cliffjumper. Now, these are figures I was looking forward to getting. Now, you might be wondering, why am I doing two figures in the same review? Well, to be fair, these guys are, right away, they're very small, very easy to transform, and since they're mold mates, might as well do them in the same review. To me, it just makes more sense, and yeah, I think at the end of the day, that is the better way to go about this. Instead of milking two reviews, I think I can get one review with both of them in it, which makes more sense in my brain, and I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. But yeah, taking a quick look at both of the boxes, they're pretty much the same. You can see Missing Link Bumblebee, you can see Cliffjumper here as well. You can see the C-03 and C-04, C-04 being Cliffjumper, 3 being Bumblebee. You got the nice Transformers logos here on the side with the Missing Link stuff. Some nice stuff on the back. It's a little bit different. You see the C-04 here for Cliffjumper. That doesn't exist here on Bumblebee. More nice stuff here. You can see C-03. It says Missing Link Bumblebee. Bumblebee says Cliffjumper here. But yeah, when it comes to the boxes, there really isn't too much different. I mean, the font size, you can see they're actually different there. That's actually pretty interesting. I just didn't notice that until now. But yeah, these are the regular boxes, and then when you open them up, you get these. We'll bring these boxes out here. These boxes right here. So these are Cliffjumper's box, and this is Bumblebee's box. You can see they're pretty much the same across the board, just obviously C-03, C-04, you got Cliffjumper here, Bumblebee here, very nice. You can see some more nice product shots there. You can see them right there as well on the top of the box, which is cool. You can see the nice Japanese text as well. And scrolling here on the back, you have their tech specs. You can take like the little thing that was it, the like holographic piece that Optimus Prime came with, if you got that Missing Link, and then you can look at these. I don't have that on me right now, but yeah, when it comes to these two, really nice boxes. I love these boxes. Are probably my favorite part about these figures, other than the figures themselves, because I love them so much. And real quick before we get into the rest of it, let's take a look at these little cards that they came with. So here is a Bumblebee's card. You can see it looks pretty nice. It's a bit flimsy, which sucks considering the price of these guys, but what are you going to do? Still looks really nice. And then you do have, like, product shots, I guess, like in, you know, like T-posing essentially here in the back. And then here is Cliffjumpers. You can see that as well. Very nice. Artwork very similar to the one on the box. Pretty much the same exact one, and then more nice stuff here. But yeah, these guys look really cool. I like how it says Cliff and Bumble, by the way. Like, that's pretty cool. So, overall, these are pretty cool. Nothing crazy. But yeah, without further ado, folks, alrighty, folks, here we have the Missing Link C-03 Bumblebee as well as C-04 Cliffjumper, the G1 versions, in their little vehicle modes. And I gotta say, when it comes to these guys are extremely tiny. They are very small, but they are obviously one-to-one scale to the original G1 toys. And for minibots, these guys were really small. Obviously, minibot, right? They're very small in comparison. And so when we're picking these guys up, I mean, you can see these can both fit in the palm of my hand. But let's start off with Bumblebee. So taking a look at Bumblebee, very nice. The penny racer, the tires are also, those are rubber as well. Very nice silver here for the rims. Very nice, like G1 toy artwork here on the back of the head. No painted taillights, but kind of blows. You do get the nice Autobot logo. He also comes with sheets of stickers. Both of these do. If you want to throw around some Autobot logos and whatnot, and some other toy decals, but I decided not to use those. But yeah, looks really nice otherwise. Like, looks like the penny racer we all knew and love. You see like the nice detailing for the hood for the Volkswagen Beetle. A nice molded in headlights there as well. But overall, when it comes to just recreating it one-to-one, this is pretty cool. Now, I don't have the original toys to compare them to, so that blows, but for me, this is really nice. The only issue I have with both of these figures when it comes to their vehicle modes, really, is when it comes to their tires. These are very flimsy, so you can just kind of pull them off. They're easy to put back on, but especially when you're transforming and you're messing around with these guys, these can get in the way in terms of like them coming off, so that sucks a little more. And the other problem I have is that the head does not sit flush on the back, which I don't know why it's like that. Maybe it's because of the joint for the head articulation, but I don't see how that could impair, excuse me. I don't see how it could impair the fact that it could sit flush. It does suck, because the originals did sit flush. I did see that, but other than that, yeah, pretty fine otherwise. And so taking a look at Cliffjumper, you got the same stuff here, but obviously instead of a Volkswagen, I believe he is a Mitsubishi. I forget which car exactly. I have to put it on screen if I remember correctly, but I saw the Autobot logo there. It's not officially licensed by Mitsubishi, but that's the car you're supposed to represent. The nice red here as well. And then you have a little bit of different artwork there for the back of where the head is. Oh yeah, you do also. I didn't show this. You do have the rub symbols, and they believe, yeah, they're the same color here. But yeah, you have the rub symbols, right? So these are initially black, and then you just rub them, and then you can show the Autobot logos. You can see the differences here when we're taking a look. Bumper, the molded in here, like this is the more Mitsubishi look. You have the spoiler here. You don't have that for Bumblebee. Overall, looking at Cliff, looks really, really good. And comparing it to the original from what I saw online, pretty much one-to-one when it comes to the actual, like, vehicle mode. And again, Autobot logo, very nice. Again, he comes with stickers as well. Both of them do, so if you want to deck them out in more decals, you can. Again, I'm choosing not to do that. And so, yeah, what we're going to do, actually, is we're going to do our size comparison. So we are going to set these two little guys off to the side here. Here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Infernac Universe Magnus. As you can see, just want to give you an idea of exactly how small these guys are. They're essentially like, I'm saying this in the nicest way possible. I think these guys are glorified Legends Tour, and I'm thinking of Hot Wheels, Legends class figures. They're about the same size-ish. They have the same size in terms of their robot modes, and so when you're comparing their sizes, let's take a look here. You can fit both of these on the side of Magnus, and he will still be a bit longer. Like, these guys are tiny, but they're very, very small. Just so you guys have an idea, they're both also not super, they're actually pretty wide considering how small they are, because obviously the penny racer look. But yeah, just to give you guys an idea of how all these guys look in comparison to like a deluxe figure. Set that off to the side here. But yeah, when it comes to these guys in their vehicle modes, that is about how big they are. And so we are going to do one more comparison. Alrighty folks, here he is with Missing Link C-01, Optimus Prime. And so when you're looking at this, this is about how it looked in the original show. I mean, there is really nothing, like, I would say that's necessarily wrong with this little picture here. This is about how they were scaled in the original show, in the cartoon and the animation. And so at the end of the day, despite them being way, way smaller than Prime, yeah, that is the size. And I think that they work really, really well. And that, I didn't peg that in all the way, but yeah. Pretty good. You can see a little more comparison that way. So you can see, I'll move it a little bit there. Yeah, overall, again, I'm pretty happy with their size despite the fact that they are so small. But again, given that they are essentially supposed to be one-to-one recreations of the G1 toys in terms of their size, fits the bill. And alrighty folks, it's time to get into their transformations, which is very, very simple. They have the exact same transformation. So we'll just do Bumblebee. So for Bumblebee, all you gotta do is pull out the, pull out the arms and then twist them down. I do that here as well. Twist them down. Then you can rotate the forearms forward. That's what I like to do, right at the elbow. And then you kind of make sure that these are all the way out and pushed up. You kind of have to push out and up. Like that. Then all you gotta do, take the legs, extend those, fold the feet down, then you can split them, and then fold the head out. Rotate the arms down, and bam! We have Bumblebee in his little G1 robot mode. And then when we come here to Cliffjumper, same thing. So again, well, that guy's he's gonna fall over because he's a little top heavy, but should be okay. Just straighten him out like that. Cliffjumper, same thing. Pull out the arms up and out. And again, here where the wheels get in the way, or the tires do. Up and out. Rotate down. Rotate the arms around like that. Take the front section, pull that forward. Rotate these down, then you can split them, and then rotate the head up, rotate the arms down, and, ladies and gentlemen, I think I just dropped something, by the way. I'm going to have to look for that, but here we have Cliffjumper, and, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Missing Link C-03 as well as C-04, both Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, in their little itty-bitty robot modes. And guys, when it comes to their robot modes, these guys look fine. I mean, they look like their original G1 toys, pretty much one-to-one. The only difference is really that articulation and the fact that the legs split as well. The legs did not split in the original toys, and so all you could do is like kick them back and forth as like one unit. So you couldn't really get any poses out of them, and the arms only rotated. And so, obviously, the biggest appeal of these is obviously the fact that they're G1 toys modernized, but at the same time, the other big thing is the articulation. And so when I was looking at the instructions, and yes, I looked at them this time, both of the instructions for these guys do delineate where the new articulation is. It just doesn't delineate it very well in terms of giving you examples of how you can pose it. Sure, they show one pose, but other than that, there's really nothing else that they show that's like really like shows you the way that these guys can move differently. And it also comes down to the fact that when it comes to these guys, they are so small that you can't really fit joints or a lot of new joints into these guys because they're so small, and plus their joints and the joints themselves are so small because the figures are so small. Again, it's just really hard to fit those things. So when we're taking a look at the details though, before we get into the articulation, Bumblebee looks great. The head is G1 accurate in terms of like the toy. Nice Autobot logo. Again, coming down here, nothing crazy. He just looks normal. I mean, the hands have nice, decent molded in, despite how small they are. Like, this guy looks pretty good, and they're clean on the back. So really nothing there. And we take a look at Cliffjumper. He's widely the same. Again, it's just the red there, right? Let's see if we can get that to focus. So, yeah, you can see a little bit there. Very nice head sculpt all around, you know. Nice red Autobot logo right there. Again, hands molded in, same as Bumblebee. Cool thing is when it comes to both of these guys, they have cool weapon storage. And so, when it comes to that, their weapon storage is actually here in their feet. And then you can just unpeg them there, and then they have their little tabs right there, and then you can just peg them into their hands. So very cool like that. There's Cliffjumpers, and then we grab Bumblebees. And that. The nice thing is their guns are different. So if we zoom in on them, I'll show you guys here. So here's Bumblebee's gun. You can see looks pretty good, right? Very accurate to G1 Bumblebee. When we take a look at Cliffjumpers, it is very much like side swipes or actually, well, the side swipe is the one I think of when I think of a gun shape like this. But yeah, these guys look really cool. And the fact that you can store them there and that they can be stored there, especially when you transform them, that is really freaking cool. I like that little storage idea. Despite how tiny these guys are, you wouldn't think they'd have some reasonable, like, you can hide away vehicle mode weapon storage, but they do, and that's really awesome because even bigger figures these days don't have that kind of like weapon storage, and that's awesome. Last thing that comes with these guys that I'll show off is Cliffjumper, and Cliffjumper comes with the bazooka that he had in the first episode, and so you can just take that. Actually, let's take a look at it real quick. See, very nice. Very accurate, you know, has a little hole in there. Very accurate to how it was in G1, and then all you got to do is just peg that in right there. And bam. Now Cliffjumper has his bazooka. Now, as you can see, there's a slight difference when it comes to the shoulders. You can see Cliffjumper has like these little bits on the shoulders. Bumblebee does not have those, and then we'll see that in the articulation. The Cliffjumper actually gets a little bit more motion out of his shoulders than Bumblebee because Bumblebee has this bumper, Cliffjumper does not. And you'll see that that does make a rather significantly more like big of a more significant difference than I thought it would make when it comes to sorry, the articulation of these guys. I did not mean to off-center them. That's my fault there. And so, real quick, before we do all of the articulation, which again is the highlight of these figures, besides the fact that they're G1, we're going to set both of these little goobers off to the side here to do comparisons. We're actually going to zoom out because all the other figures are just bigger. So, I'm going to raise this up a little bit and setting those guys there. Alrighty, folks, here we have them again with the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe class Infernac Universe Magnius. As you can see, Deluxe figure versus essentially Legends size, you know, Legends class figures. And so you can see they're about half the size of a regular Deluxe figure. And so it ends up working out. I mean, again, they are one-to-one how they are in terms of their size to their G1 toys. And that's what they were supposed to be at the end of the day. So no real complaints in size here from that perspective. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, here we have them with Missing Link C-01 Optimus Prime. As you can see, these guys look great together. Again, this is about how big Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, even when you're doing it comparing to the animation, Bumblebee and Cliffjumper are only about the size of Optimus's legs. You know, all these mini-bots are extremely tiny, and this is how they should scale. And I'm really happy because this is cool. You know, I never got to buy the original toys when I was a kid. I wasn't even alive when this show was out. When it was releasing initially, and so I was never able to buy the toys, and if I were going to buy them, it would obviously be secondhand at that point, and so it's nice for someone like me who didn't grow up in that era and wasn't able to buy the original G1 toys, and they were brand new, to get my own versions of them, and that's awesome. Alrighty, folks, in time for their articulation. Now we're going to do Bumblebee here because they have the same articulation, but again, we will show the difference in the shoulders here. So let's remove their guns, and keep in mind, these are really small, so make sure you damn well don't lose them. With Bumblebee here, so your head, you do get this ball joint here, or more like a swivel, but you can still go up and down because of the transformation gimmick. The shoulders can go kind of out like this, and then they have a rotation here, which they didn't have before, and then they also have this little joint here, which is really, really cool, and then you do have an elbow joint that can also bend and rotate, which is really, really nice. So you get all that. So when we're seeing Bumblebee, see, you can't get him quite past because of that bumper, but with Cliffjumper, you can get him farther, just because, right, he has no bumper there like Bumblebee does, so you can get them a little bit farther than Bumblebee. Bumblebee, you kind of get pushed to here, and you can't really do much, and so that blows a little bit, but what are you going to do? No waist, because you can't really fit a waist joint here, and so for the legs, again, before, these were just, remember, the original toy was just like this. This is the original toy. Like, this is literally it. Right, but now you have like a joint here, and then another joint here, which is the knee, because it's so far down. But your knee is like this, and there's no rotation really, but you do have ankle rocker pivot, which is cool. Then you can twist here, and you can also kick back a little bit forward and back here. Now, a difference with Cliffjumper and Bumblebee in terms of their QC is, when you're transforming this guy and you push these in, this joint, like the pole joint for Cliffjumper, is a little bit looser than it is for Bumblebee. Not so loose at all, but it's just, you can tell it's looser than Bumblebee's. But yeah, when it comes to the articulation, you can get some, like, half-decent poses with these guys for how small they actually are, especially that ankle rocker helps out a lot. But how low the knees are, it's so, like, look how low that is, right? And you still get really significant ankle rocker, again, despite how big these guys are. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like, the articulation is way better than it was, but it's still weird, and it's not amazing. It's amazing in the context of these little guys, but when you're thinking about articulation in general, this really isn't anything like revolutionary. But I am happy they were able to give these guys articulation when the original toys never really had this level of articulation, so that's pretty cool. Alrighty guys, and time to get into the reverse transformation. And again, that's pretty simple for both of these guys. So we're actually going to do it with the pegging the guns in. So you see there's a little peg hole there in the foot, and then you have a peg on the side of the gun, and then you just peg that in like so. And this works for both Cliffjumper as well as Bumblebee. So all you gotta do is peg the wheels together, push them down like this, and then shove this all the way in, and then you rotate the arms. And what's cool is the hand holes where you would peg the guns in here, they have a little peg right here which the originals didn't have, and then you can just peg those in, and it secures this whole thing, and just fold the head in, and there you go. We got Bumblebee back in his Penny Racer Volkswagen mode. And so for Cliffjumper, just do the same here. So all we got to do is oh yeah, grab the gun, and then you can just peg that in like so, and then we can grab the legs, and we can peg those together, rotate this down, push them in, then take the arms, rotate them, push this down, peg the hand into place, inside, excuse me please, there we go, same here, like that, and then just fold the head down, and here we have Cliffjumper back in his little Mitsubishi Penny Racer mode. And so yeah, back in their vehicle modes, the little mini-bots do go. Alrighty folks, for my final and concluding thoughts on the Transformers Missing Link C-03 Bumblebee as well as C-04 Cliffjumper, there is one point of addressing that I have yet to address. And that is the price of both of these guys. Both of these guys, at the end of the day, after shipping and taxes, were around $40 to $45. And that's a lot of money for figures that are so small. Now, for someone like me, who has more of that, I guess, disposable income, I am not too sad about shelling out this much money for these guys, especially because I grew up as someone who never got the original toys. I don't want to buy the originals because those are more brittle, they might break, and these, in my opinion, I think they'll last longer, which is why I've bought them. And so I'm very happy to actually have these in my collection. And Like, that's really cool. However, that $45 price tag, between 40 and 45, depending on where you live, taxes like that, it'd be obviously a little bit technically more in Canada because US dollars are worth more than Canadian dollars, for example. I don't know if it's necessarily worth it for 40 bucks. Because when it comes to these figures, they're just small. They don't come with a ton of stuff. Sure, the articulation's cool. Sure, there's a little bit of die cast in them. But at the end of the day, these guys can both fit in the palm of your hand, and you're asking me to pay 40 bucks for that? I don't necessarily know if this is for everybody, especially when you chalk it up to that price. And so, in my opinion, for the vast majority of people, I probably wouldn't recommend this. I would recommend it to those who really do like the sort of like authenticity and the originality of how these toys used to be. Because, for example, right, let me relate this to cars, because this is something that I hope you guys can relate this in some way, right? As someone who likes, like the more mechanical, feel of older, when it comes to manual transmissions. Now, I know I don't drive a manual, but at the end of the day, I think I would prefer that in terms of like the driving experience type of thing, right? And so let's take, for example, the Lamborghini Murcielago as well as the Lamborghini Aventador. Both cars, big V12 flagships for Lamborghini, both big generations, right? But both in the generation. But the Murcielago came from an era where manual transmissions were still a thing, and the Aventador came in an era where they were starting to go into dual clutch transmissions and whatnot. And so what you see now is a lot of the manual Murcielagos, especially the LP640 cars, have gone up very high in value because of the fact that they have a manual transmission. And when I'm referring to the channel known as VinWiki, Ed Bolian says it best, is that you kind of have to be like a masochist in a way. You have to sort of like enjoy the fact that if you're buying a Murcielago, which some of them are worth more than the Aventadors, despite the Aventadors being newer, more technologically advanced cars, it's just due to the fact that it's comes from a different era. They're old school, right? They don't have that good of ABS, their manual transmissions, they're way looser, right? It's easier to crash them than, let's say, an Aventador. They're scary to drive. And that's what I'm comparing to these figures, is you're paying for that authenticity. You're paying for the fact that they, despite being improved upon with their articulation, they don't have all of those creature comforts that these new figures have, from all of the ankle rocker and everything like that, And so even with Optimus, right? Like I'll extend that to the Missing Link Optimus. You're paying for that old school authenticity, and that I don't think is for everybody. But again, as someone like me who was never able to get the original toys in good condition and wants them but doesn't want to risk buying an old G1 toy only for it not to last for a while, right? It's, it'll be brittle, in my opinion, fall apart at some point, even though they were made with grit, right? They were toughness and grit back then. I'm happy to have these in my collection, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to the majority of people. If you are like me, I honestly would highly recommend these guys, but again, for the majority of people, that 45 buckaroos is a lot to shell out for. Between 40, 45 bucks is a lot to shell out for figures this small. But if you do want to pick yours up, actually, well, let me do the score. I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10 still, because I think that they're really good. Minor things here and there, I don't think they're perfect at all, but the fact is, the price really holds it back, and the size, and when you're relating that to the size of these things, and that this won't be for everybody. And so if you do want to pick these up, I did pick mine up in the Big Bad Toy Store, so leave a link in the description to that. Also, see if I can find a link to this is on Hasbro Pulse, as well as maybe Amazon. Let's see if they're on there as well. And so if you want to get those will all be linked in the description below. But yeah, I think that's really it for the video review. And so I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also follow me in the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.